When does a man truly fall in love? It's not in the way most people imagine. It's not the moment he sees you in the perfect dress, or the instant you share an incredible kiss, or even when he feels that undeniable spark of chemistry. Attraction might get his attention, but love goes far deeper. A man falls in love when he experiences something he rarely gets in the world: emotional safety. Think about how men are conditioned. From a young age, they're taught to be strong, to hold back tears, to carry burdens without showing weakness. On the outside, they're expected to be tough, confident, and in control, but inside, they're still human, filled with doubts, fears, and insecurities. Most men go through life hiding those parts of themselves because they've learned that showing vulnerability often leads to judgment, rejection, or even shame. So, what happens when a man meets someone who allows him to drop that armor? That's when everything changes. If he feels like he can come to you without pretending, if he feels he can show you the side of him that isn't polished or perfect, you become rare. And in a world full of people who only want the highlight reel, you stand out because you make him feel seen in his rawest, truest form. Emotional safety isn't about fixing his problems or rescuing him. It's about creating a space where he can open up without fear. When he shares something vulnerable, and instead of dismissing it or rushing to give advice, you simply listen and validate him, you give him something powerful. Just saying, "That sounds really tough, I get why you'd feel that way," can mean more to him than the most romantic gesture. This is the secret. Beauty may draw his eyes, charm may capture his attention, but emotional safety captures his heart. It's the thing that makes him say, "I can trust her with the parts of me I don't show anyone else." And that trust is the foundation of love. The truth is, most men are not looking for someone perfect. They're looking for someone who makes them feel safe enough to be imperfect. They don't fall in love because you never argue, or because you're always agreeable, or because you match some checklist of qualities. They fall in love because with you, they feel free. So, if you want to know the moment when a man truly falls in love, it's not when you give him the best version of yourself, it's when you accept the real version of him. When you stop being just exciting and become someone safe, when you go from being admired to being trusted, that's when he doesn't just want you in his life. He can't imagine his life without you. Men are often admired for what they achieve, for the roles they play, for how much they provide, or how strong they appear. But here's the truth. Underneath all of that, men are starved for appreciation. They don't hear it nearly as often as you'd think. Most men go through life giving, striving, working, showing up, and yet they rarely hear the simple words, "I notice you, I value you, I appreciate you." And this is why appreciation is one of the most powerful forces in love. A man may feel attraction for many, but he falls in love with the one who makes him feel deeply seen and recognized. When you think about it, appreciation isn't about flattery. It's not about saying something shallow or empty just to stroke his ego. Men can sense that. What really moves him is when your appreciation is real, when it's specific, when it reflects that you've actually paid attention. Let's say he makes an effort to pick a restaurant that serves your favorite dish. Instead of just saying thanks, imagine looking at him and saying, "I love how thoughtful you are, how you remember the little things that matter to me." Do you see the difference? You're not just acknowledging the action, you're appreciating the intention behind it. And when a man hears that, it's like fuel. It reinforces his sense of purpose in the relationship. He wants to keep showing up for you because with you, his efforts don't go unnoticed. Here's the irony: the more you show appreciation, the more he naturally gives. It's not transactional, it's instinctive. Appreciation makes him feel like the best version of himself around you, and people always fall in love with the person who makes them feel more alive, more capable, more valuable. When you appreciate him, you're not just making him feel good. You're creating a loop where his desire to love you grows stronger because being with you brings out his highest self. And let's be clear, Appreciation isn't about lowering your standards or pretending everything he does is perfect. It's about finding those genuine moments where you can say, "That mattered to me," and saying it out loud. Too often, we think, "Oh, he knows how I feel." But he doesn't always know. Men don't always connect the dots unless they hear the words. And when those words come from you, they create an emotional bond that can't be replaced. So, when does a man fall in love? He falls in love when he feels he's more than just another guy in your life. He falls when he knows his efforts are not invisible, when he feels that being with you makes him significant. Love isn't built in the grand gestures alone, it's built in the moments where he feels appreciated for who he is and what he brings. That's when his walls lower, his heart opens, and his commitment grows. We tend to overcomplicate love, thinking it's about the perfect timing, the serious conversations, or the grand gestures that sweep someone off their feet. But in reality, love often grows in the spaces where people can simply be themselves. That's why playfulness is such a powerful force. It's not about acting immature or avoiding responsibility. It's about creating moments that feel light, spontaneous, and alive. When a man finds someone who brings that out of him, who makes life feel less like a grind and more like an adventure, that's when he begins to fall. Think about the weight most men carry. They're expected to perform, to deliver, to handle stress, to always have it together. The world demands seriousness, but imagine how magnetic it feels when he's with someone who lets him drop that weight and just laugh. Maybe it's teasing him about his terrible taste in music, dancing around the kitchen in a way that makes you both laugh until your stomach hurts, or inventing silly little inside jokes that no one else would ever understand. Those moments may seem small, but they create something unforgettable, because in those playful exchanges he doesn't just feel entertained, he feels connected. Playfulness is also a form of intimacy. It's a reminder that love isn't only about solving problems or making plans, it's about enjoying the in-between. A relationship built only on intensity can burn out quickly, but a relationship that knows how to laugh, how to tease, how to find joy in the mundane, that's the one that lasts. Men fall for the woman who reminds them that life doesn't have to be so heavy all the time, that even in challenges there can be joy. What makes playfulness powerful is that it's authentic. You can't fake it. It comes from being present, from not overthinking, from letting your guard down. And when you do that, you create a space where he feels safe to do the same. That's why those silly, spontaneous moments stick in his memory. They aren't rehearsed, they aren't forced, they're real. And when something is real, it stays with you. A man may admire your ambition, your beauty, your depth. All of those things draw him in. But what makes him fall in love is when he realizes you're the person who can make even the ordinary feel extraordinary. That you're not just someone he wants to spend a glamorous night out with. You're someone he wants to sit on the couch with, laugh at dumb memes, or sing off key in the car with. That's the kind of connection that makes him think, this is my person. So if you wonder when a man truly falls, it's often in those playful moments where he feels more like himself, more free, more alive. Attraction gets his attention, but playfulness makes him stay. It's the glue that turns chemistry into connection and connection into love. Here's something most people overlook. A man doesn't fall in love when you bend over backward to please him, when you give him everything he asks for, or when you make him the center of your universe. In fact, that often has the opposite effect. What truly makes a man fall in love is when he meets a woman who knows her worth, who respects herself, and who refuses to compromise her standards just to keep someone interested. Self-respect is magnetic. It communicates silently without you needing to prove anything that your presence is valuable, and that if he wants to be part of your life, he has to rise to meet you. Think about it this way. When you respect your time, when you set healthy boundaries, when you don't allow someone to walk all over you, you're sending a message without saying a word. That message is, I value myself enough not to settle. And that is incredibly attractive. Because men know, whether they admit it or not, that anyone can be impressed by charm, looks, or attention. But when a woman requires effort, when she requires consistency, when she requires respect, she stands out. The truth is, men don't fall in love with the woman who gives the most. They fall in love with the woman who inspires them to give more, and that inspiration comes from seeing you treat yourself with the same love and respect you want from others. If you tolerate bad behavior, if you let someone take more than they give, if you keep accepting crumbs, he may enjoy the convenience, but he won't feel real love or devotion. Why? Because deep down he knows you don't truly value yourself, so how could he? But when you carry yourself with self-respect, it changes the dynamic. You're not playing games, you're not pretending to be unavailable, you're simply clear about what you will and won't accept. And that clarity creates attraction because it makes him realize he can't be lazy with you. He has to show up. He has to earn your trust. He has to invest. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. In fact, self-respect makes your affection more powerful because it's not given out cheaply. When you say yes, it means something. When you give your time, it's a gift. When you choose to love him, he knows it's not because you're afraid of being alone or desperate for attention. It's because he's truly earned a place in your life. That's what makes him value you more deeply. So, when does a man fall in love? He falls in love when he realizes you want him, but you don't need him. When he sees that you're fulfilled in your own right, that your life is full and your standards are high, and yet you're choosing to let him in. That's when he doesn't just feel attraction, he feels devotion, because self-respect isn't about keeping someone out. It's about making sure that when someone stays, it's because they truly deserve to. At the heart of love is growth. A man may be drawn to your beauty, your charm, or your presence, but what makes him truly fall in love is when he sees that with you, life doesn't stay the same, it expands. Love isn't just about enjoying the moment, it's about building a future, and a man falls in love when he feels you're someone who will walk with him through that future, not hold him back. Think about it. Everyone wants excitement at the beginning, late night talks, butterflies, the spark of chemistry. But after that fades, what keeps love alive is the sense that together you're moving forward, that the relationship is making you both better. When he's with you, does he feel like a stronger, more motivated, more inspired version of himself? If the answer is yes, he will never want to let you go, because men fall in love with the woman who makes them feel that their world is bigger with her in it. This doesn't mean you need to push him or constantly try to improve him. Growth isn't about pressure, it's about support. It's about believing in his dreams, celebrating his victories, and standing beside him when things get hard. It's about sharing your own ambitions too, so he sees that you're not just a passenger in life, you're a partner. When he realizes you both want to build, to learn, to evolve, he doesn't just see you as someone to love now, he sees you as someone to love always. And growth isn't only about career or success. It can be as simple as encouraging each other to live healthier, to laugh more, to travel, to explore, to step out of comfort zones. It's in the way you challenge him to think differently, to see new perspectives, to dream bigger than he did before. When a man feels that kind of inspiration, love becomes more than attraction. It becomes purpose. What makes this so powerful is that growth creates a bond that doesn't fade. Looks change, circumstances change, but the connection you build through shared growth becomes unbreakable. He will look at you and think with her, I don't just exist, I thrive. And that's when love stops being temporary and turns into devotion. So when does a man fall in love? He falls when he realizes you're not just part of his story, you're part of his evolution. When he knows that with you, he won't just live the same old life, he'll live a bigger, bolder, more meaningful one. That's when he gives his heart fully, not just because you make him happy today, but because you make him believe in tomorrow.